Anti-vaccine and anti-mask protesters have followed Liberal leader Justin Trudeau since he called the election last month. And as Eric mentioned, Trudeau is now promising to crack down on demonstrations that disrupt hospitals and health centres. But is a new law necessary? Abigail Bimman is following the Liberal campaign.
We need to nourish, celebrate, and protect their jobs.
When talking about the need to protect people from COVID, Justin Trudeau often brings up son Hadrian, too young for a vaccine. Monday, he and Sophie were by Trudeau's side in Vancouver as he announced a re-elected Liberal government would make it illegal to block access to healthcare sites with protests at hospitals across the country.
It is not okay that across the country, hospitals are having to put up barricades today to manage the mobs coming their way.
The promise extends to vaccine centers and abortion clinics. But it's already illegal to utter threats or assault someone, of course, so is a new law necessary?
This is a mixture of political grandstanding and the ability to create another wedge issue with O'Toole. Trudeau certainly gives him the gears in the release, but it also might be time to clarify this for police and other people.
Can they be charged with things already? Yes. What potentially makes a new provision necessary or beneficial, or as someone who formerly worked as a law reform lawyer, I would suggest a good idea, is that it sends a signal to the population.
It's an idea politically popular enough that the NDP announced something similar last week.
We want to specifically protect healthcare workers by changing the criminal code to make it an aggravating offense, an aggravating element to in any way impede or assault or any way threaten a healthcare worker.
I don't know if I have an opinion yet on whether or not it's necessary, but I will say this. Some of the images that we saw from the previous protests are absolutely heartbreaking, and any measures that help to prevent that from happening in the future are absolutely a good thing.
Trudeau himself was punchy with protesters who followed him to an interview at Global BC.
Isn't there a hospital you should be going to bother right now?
Monday's announcement is part of a broader Liberal strategy in the final week to hammer home differences on wedge issues, and the party hopes set up a clear choice between a re-elected Liberal government and their top opponents in a tight race, the Conservatives. Abigail Bimman, Global News, Richmond, BC.
Today, Conservative leader Erin O'Toole focused less on policy and more on personality. O'Toole took some personal jabs against Liberal leader Justin Trudeau. As Mike Le Couteur reports, the attack strategy could be an indication that Tories believe their chance at forming government is slipping away.
I have expectations of us running a positive campaign.
In one breath, Erin O'Toole said he wants to raise the bar of political discourse. Minutes earlier, the Conservative leader was focused on personal attacks, not policy.
Every Canadian has met a Justin Trudeau in their lives. Privileged, entitled, and always looking out for number one.
This level of mudslinging hasn't been seen in this election until now. That's how close the race really is with a week to go. But this Liberal strategist believes it shows something else.
I think it's a sign of desperation. It's a sign that at this point they are willing to do anything that they can to fight off Justin Trudeau, who they recognize is their main competition.
Liberals, the NDP, and Conservatives are now vying for progressive voters. Monday, the Tories pitched a plan to improve maternity and parental leave programs, something last expanded by the Trudeau Liberals. And O'Toole plans to extend the Canada Child Benefit Aid even before the birth of a baby.
Policies like the ones that are announced today certainly are designed to appeal to women and young families. And I think that that is really a direct appeal from the part of the Conservatives to have a bit more of a softer image.
Part of softening that image is O'Toole's declaration that he is pro-choice and an ally of the LGBTQ2 community. However, months ago, half of the Conservative caucus voted against a ban on conversion therapy, and a majority of his caucus voted in support of a bill that sought to restrict certain abortions, leaving some to wonder if hardline Tory backbenchers will really follow O'Toole's lead.
He can't even get his party members to all vaccinate. Who is to trust that he can get them to vote the way that he thinks they should?
That's the question the Liberals and NDP want people to be asking themselves as all parties make their pitch to progressive voters. Farah?
Mike Le Couteur in Ottawa. Thank you, Mike.